You can sit or stand up. What do you want to do?
Okay, here. I'm just gonna go there.
Can't say
So are you using this chair?
no, you can have it. Yes.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the Twinsburg Board of Education meeting Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. Mrs. Rosnaya, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mrs. Egan?
Here.
Mrs. Hamilton?
Here.
Mrs. Crawford?
Here.
Mrs. Travis?
Here. We are all present. For those who can, please stand and join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, again, good evening and welcome to the Twinsburg State School District's Wednesday, October 23, 2024 Board of Education meeting. I'm Leah Travis, an honor to serve you in the capacity of Board President. It is hard to believe that we are already near the end of October and have our first 9 weeks behind us. So tonight, I think it's very appropriate to congratulate the entire student body on a job well done so far. For those of you present and those watching, you have completed 40+ days of school, and we want you to keep up the good work. That's 1/4 or 1/4 of your school year already completed. It's just a little math lesson for you there. All right. Due to the scheduling of our board meeting, there is an event that I want to mention tonight, and that is this. Each year on the 3rd week of October, we celebrate what's called the National School Bus Safety Week. And I would like to offer, on behalf of myself and my colleagues here at the table, a thank you to all of our bus drivers. It is absolutely no small job, nor is it an easy job. Our drivers carry precious cargo. They carry them to and from home, to and from events and practices, and they do it rain, snow, sleet, and shine, and right now in the dark. So we want the drivers to know that we appreciate them and we thank them for being valued members of our team. Keep those yellow limos running and running safely. On another note, there are still a lot of questions out there about the Tiger Legacy project, the building of the pre-K 6 building. I, on behalf of the board, encourage everyone to visit the district website where you will find a rectangular shaped box titled the Legacy Project. And there you will find answers to all the questions that have been asked, and you will also be able to read the regularly updated information. It's my understanding that some of our residents have found it offensive when we've been told, or we've told them, or someone has told them to visit the website. Please understand, the website is the keeper of the facts. There are people trying to correct incorrect information, especially on social media, which often just simply results in more questions and frustrations. When I and others are referring you to the website, we are not being disrespectful. We are referring you to the factual information that is the most current information that we know, not through someone's thoughts or ideas, but straight to the facts. So I encourage everyone, if you have questions, please reach out to the website or call our superintendent or our business manager, and please reach out to find the facts on what's happening with the project. And in closing, we have several sports teams still in competition. This Friday will be our last football game of the year. Our girls soccer team will be in the division finals this coming Saturday. Our boys soccer team will be playing their OHSAA, that's the Ohio High School Athletic Association's district semifinal game tomorrow night. Go, 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 guys. We have our girls playing volleyball right now. Our cross-country team will have their OHSAA regional championship meet this Saturday. So we definitely want to wish all of our athletes success in these coming days. And if you're looking for something else to do, come on out and cheer on our athletes. Our orchestra had a wonderful showing last night, and our band will have their showcase next week. So again, we have so many talented Tigers. If you have the time, come out and cheer someone on for their success and thank them for what they do. And Mrs. Powers, that concludes my comments for tonight. I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I'm going to stand because there's so many folks in the room tonight. First of all, I hope you found this on your chair when you got here tonight. Friday's a big day in our school district. Boys and girls, you know, there were really, really bad storms in Florida and North Carolina and South Carolina. And we want to be able to share some of our Tiger love and support. So this Friday is Hats On for hurricane relief. So if you'd like to participate and wear a hat to school on Friday, we ask everyone to donate at least $1, and all the money, moms and dads, is going to be donated to the American Red Cross. And we'll write a check on behalf of the district and send it down to the American Red Cross. We do this, unfortunately, every time there's a major storm like this. We just feel the need. Many of us have relatives in the South, and it's just a way of us sending some love and care to people who've been impacted by the recent hurricane. So that's just a reminder about Hats On for hurricane relief, which is this Friday. Mrs. Travis, I'm going to go on top of you because I have additional news about our sports teams from Mr. Fantone. So, as you mentioned, this Saturday our girls soccer will be in the district championship game at Streetsboro High School, and they're going to be playing Nordonia. So Streetsboro's not that far away, so I hope some of you can get in your cars and travel out to Streetsboro and cheer on our girls. Same day, Saturday, 1 o'clock, the boys soccer district championship. If the boys win tomorrow night, here's a top secret thing. If we win tomorrow night, it will be Coach Lally's 300th victory. That is a big deal, right? So we will see Marshall. And he's been very shy about that. He didn't want to even tell us when he started coaching. But we figured it out thanks to Miss Fargo at payroll. We figured out when he was first paid as a coach, and so here we go. So we know it is, if he wins tonight, tomorrow night it'll be his 300th career win. That is a big cornerstone in somebody's coaching career. Anyhow, so when the boys win tomorrow night, they'll be over to Byers Field in Parma on Saturday at 1 o'clock for the soccer district championship game. So you can go from Streetsboro to Parma and make it there on time. And then also on Saturday at 1 o'clock, our Lady Tiger volleyball team will be playing, if they win tonight, they go to Maple Heights on Saturday. And we're not sure who they'll play yet, but they will be, if they win tonight, they'll be in the district championship game played at Maple Heights at 1 o'clock Saturday. So some of us are going to have to clone it ourselves to get everywhere on Saturday, but that's all exciting. And then also on Saturday, as Mrs. Travis indicated, we have our Lady Tigers cross-country team, as well as Sam Hopp, who has had just a remarkable cross-country season. They're all running in the regional cross-country meet at Boardman High School. So our Tigers are on the run Saturday. If you're looking for something to do, it's supposed to be a nice weekend. Please come out and cheer on our kids. This is what it's all about, this late in the fall play. It's really exciting. It's just the best. So we appreciate all of our coaches. We appreciate our staff and what they do to support the kids. But of course, we really appreciate the kids and their dedication to their craft. So that's that. I'll put my phone down now. This evening we have 3 really important administrative reports, and it'll be after the students are celebrated. So if you want to stick around, families, you're welcome to. But let me explain what this is all about. Mr. Strickland is going to be presenting some information about his 5-year facilities assessment plan. You know, as we've been talking with our residents about the Tiger Legacy Project, there's been a lot of concern about, well, have you let the buildings go, to pot? What's happening here? And the truth is, this is the work of Mr. Strickland. He has been busy for many years now, making sure that we have our facilities as up to date as we can based on the income that we have to do that. And even before him, Mr. Welker, and before him, Mr. Lenzo, always had been working on this 5-year plan. So he's going to talk a little bit about the 5-year plan tonight and what that means for our school district. Also, parents, 5 o'clock tonight, you got an email from me in Parents Care. Very long email talking about Senate Bill 29 and our new requirements to provide notification to you. Effective tomorrow, the new law goes into place. So this evening, Mrs. Farthing, our Director of Curriculum and Technology, and I will share a little bit about Senate Bill 29, what it means to you as our parents, what it means to our staff, and the reasons why the legislators put that into play and Governor DeWine signed it into law in June. And then also tonight, later in the agenda, we do have a strategic plan update in the areas of 21st century teaching and learning, facilities, and safety. So we have a busy agenda tonight. Love to see all the students here and the parents. Parents, if you'd like to stick around for the presentations, great. If not, you can always catch it on our live stream, which is also recorded, and you can find that on the district's YouTube channel. So lots of information this evening. And finally, parents, a reminder that report cards are issued this Friday. Oh my gosh, first quarter's all done. That went so fast. I just remember the first day of school, and you blink your eye and you're at the end of the first quarter. It goes so fast around here. And if you haven't had a chance to schedule a parent-teacher conference, please reach out to your child's teacher to do that. They enjoy sitting down with you and discussing your child's progress in school, and it's just an exciting time for that too. So we are going to turn our presentation over now to Mrs. Lynn Turner, the principal at Wilcox Primary School, because Wilcox rocks because of all these awesome kids. And tonight we're going to celebrate a lot of them thanks to Mrs. Turner. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Okay.
I would love that. Thank you so much. Good evening, Board of Education. Good evening, families. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Boys and girls, we are going to introduce you in a minute, and your amazing teachers who are also here tonight to support you. So families, every day we start our school day with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then after that we say our Wilcox Pledge. And part of being in school, especially when you're little, is learning to be a good citizen. So our students are learning what it means to be responsible, respectful, caring, and safe. And those are really big words, but our staff members do an amazing job of helping the children learn what it means to be responsible or respectful in different places and throughout our school building, on our buses. and in the community. So tonight, some of the children that we are going to introduce to you have been nominated by their teachers because they embody what we like to say at Wilcox is our Wilcox Pledge. And I'll read a little bit about each of them. So we're going to start with our first graders, our big kids. Boys and girls, when I call you up, I would love you to come up. I think Mrs. Crawford might have a little something for you, and Mrs. Powers has your certificate, and we're going to come on up. If you come up by me, that's awesome, or if you're over on that side, just go up by Mrs. Powers, and we'll make a big line up here in the front and hold our certificates in front of our tummies. Okay? You get that? Well, I'll remind you. It's all right. So we're going to start with Evelyn Adams, and Evelyn is in Mrs. Langhoff's class. So Mrs. Langhoff, if you want to come up and join her. And what Mrs. Langhoff said is Evelyn comes to school with a positive attitude. She works hard, asks questions, and she is always willing to lend a helping hand to her classmates, my glasses on, and her teachers. She's a positive role model for her peers. Keep up the great work, Evelyn. Yeah, awesome. I guess I forgot that part. Stay up here so we can take a picture. Our next student, our Wilcox Rock student, is Isaiah Coe, and Isaiah is in Ms. Plassard's class. So come on up, Isaiah. Ms. Plassard said, I'm nominating Isaiah because of his unwavering kindness toward his classmates and teachers. He consistently shows respect in all interactions, creating a positive atmosphere in the classroom. His hard work and dedication inside the classroom sets an excellent example for his peers, inspiring them to strive for their best. He's not only a diligent student, but also a good friend, always ready to lend a listening ear or offer support. His willingness to help others fosters a strong sense of community. Moreover, Isaiah's active participation in class discussions enriches the learning experience for everyone, showcasing his enthusiasm and commitment to education. Great job, Isaiah. For Mrs. Knisely's first grade class, we have Noah Granville. Noah, there he is. Yeah, Mrs. Knisely's coming up too. And Mrs. Knisley said, Noah is an excellent student and classmate. He always does his best every day in the classroom. Noah is kind and caring to other students. He participates in activities and works hard. We are so lucky to have Noah in our class this year. And our last first grader tonight is Alyssa Patrick from Mrs. Littler's class. There she is. Alyssa shines in class because she treats her classmates and teachers with kindness, making everyone feel valued. She consistently shows respect by listening attentively and following class and school roles. Her love of learning is evident in the way she eagerly participates in lessons and seeks to understand new concepts. Her positive attitude and willingness to help others create a supportive environment for everyone around her. Alyssa's dedication and enthusiasm make her a standout student. Okay, so we're going to have some kindergarten students join our first graders, and first up is Jordan Clark from Mrs. Ritz's class. Here. All the way down to Mrs. Powers, okay? Jordan is a great example of what it means to be an excellent student at Wilcox. He's hardworking, focused, and always tries his best. Jordan is a great role model to other students. He is caring and respectful to all students and staff. He always comes to school with a positive attitude and ready to learn. Jordan is why Wilcox rocks. Jensen Menifee is from Mrs. Hardesty's class. Jensen is one of the many reasons why Wilcox rocks. She is kind, caring, and hardworking. We can always count on Jensen to jump in and lend a helping hand. Her smile, positive attitude, and energy are contagious. She's a leader and a friend to everyone. Way to go, Jensen. Amelia Pfeiffer is in Miss Miller's kindergarten class, and Amelia is coming up. Amelia is a compassionate and hardworking kiddo. She's always lends a helping hand to friends in need, is a role model in the classroom, and is respectful to her peers and teachers. Amelia has a smile on her face every day, in turn making everyone else smile with her too. Wilcox totally rocks because of Amelia. And our last kindergarten student today is Madison Salzman from Mrs. Barrow's class. Madison comes to school with a smile on her face every day. She's hardworking and always does her best to take pride in her work. Madison is a wonderful role model to other students in the classroom and is always willing to lend a helping hand. She follows the Wilcox Pledge by being responsible, respectful, caring, and safe. Mrs. Pirro is very proud of all she has accomplished so far this year. She has a kind heart and is why Wilcox rocks. And finally, we have 3 preschool students that we want to recognize tonight. The first one is Ezra Crum from Twinsburg class. Ezra got a super big hug from his big sister. I'm assuming that's his big sister. Ezra helps make Wilcox rocks with his kindness and helpfulness. He is a good friend to everyone and always listens carefully. Ezra works hard and is proud of doing his best. His caring nature makes our class a better place. Congratulations, Ezra. In Mrs. Wells' class, we have Jet Ziska. And Jet approaches each day with enthusiasm and a smile. He is always eager to participate in activities showing love for learning that is inspiring. Jet consistently demonstrates kindness to classmates by helping them whenever they need help and being a great example of what qualities a Wilcox Rock student should demonstrate. Jet is a kind, caring individual, and Wilcox is fortunate to have him as a student. And our final Wilcox Rock student tonight is Harmonat Singh from Mrs. Cyric's class. And Mrs. Cyric is Harmonat greets her friends with a smile every day. She loves to sing and to jump with her to her friends' favorite songs. She's a sweet girl who loves to play with her friends. Congratulations. Boys and girls, I know everybody, all your grown-ups want to take a picture, so what I would love, yes, I see you, yes, they definitely do. So take your certificate, put it in here in front of your tummy. We want to see your big smiles. And let's scoot as close together as we can get. Scooch, 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 because there's a lot of us. Okay, big smiles out to your people. Wave to your feet. Okay, and we have our backs to our board members, so can we turn around and give them a big smile too? We are super proud of you, everybody, all boys and girls, and thank you, families, for coming tonight. And you can go back and join your grown-ups. I think Mr. Holland
Twinsburg, principal of Dodge. And before we recognize our students, we wanted to recognize a very special pair of community members. So I was just offered a mic, but I kind of brought my own. So it's not really a mic, but it's one piece of a donation that was made to Dodge from one of our community members. And I'm going to bring them up front here with me. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you want to come join us up front? So a couple of weeks ago, we were contacted about an art donation, and I honestly thought it was going to be just one or two small pieces of art. And so we were invited out to Mr. and Mrs. Smith's house, and we met the most wonderful couple that you would ever meet. They are so genuinely nice, and me and my staff felt very honored to be in your home and with your art and the things that you were going to donate to us. And it wasn't just art supplies, it wasn't just paint, but it was easels, it was drafting tables, it was specialized lighting that our students probably would not have access to without your generosity. Even things like, we have examples of their art that they were given to us to use as prizes for our students, homemade frames that are beautiful, and we look forward to using them with our students each and every day. So we wanted to bring you here because you are truly unique, you are truly special as community members here, and to do this for our students was very special. We calculated nearly $3,500 worth of items that you are giving our students to experience. So we wanted to, we're keeping the mic, but we want to recognize you with a certificate of appreciation for all you do for our students.
Just remember all the things he said.
We're still cleaning up the studio.
And so this is professional grade art supplies and materials. So again, our students may not have had that, especially at this age, at 9, 10, 11 years old. So you really have open opportunities for our kids, and we really appreciate it. I was hoping that we could do like a picture with our board and that I would get for you all, that you would always think of us in Twinsburg as you move forward in life.
Thank you.
Just want to say one thing. One of the biggest inspirations to me in my life was a teacher when I was in high school, Mrs. Isabel Simpson. I wasn't very good at math, and she was a math teacher, but she was an inspiration, kind person, and I've always carried a fond memory of that lady for a long time. I won't go back how many years it was. It was a long time. So teachers mean a lot, a lot.
Guess they want a picture over there.
I'm so glad you're doing this. Thank We gotta get everybody in here. Everybody.
Thank you.
That's how we're going to recognize our students of the month.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sierra DeVille, and I am one of the assistant principals at Dodge Intermediate School. I had the pleasure of working with our 4 6th grade student council members to prepare for tonight. And I'm not going to talk very long, but I did want to say one impressive thing. This morning, when I was scheduling their practice, I sent them a Google Calendar invite. And it was really just for myself and my own calendar, but I thought I'll add their names to it, but they're 6th graders, they're 11 and 12, they won't respond to it. And when I tell you that they saw the invite and they showed up to my office without me saying anything, they actually beat me there, so I was very impressed, and that speaks to the type of students that they all are. So at this time, So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Julia to get us started.
Thank you for the kind words, Ms. DeVille. Good evening, Twinsburg families, Twinsburg staff, and Board of Education. My name is Julia Agbovi, and I am a 6th grade student council representative here at Dodge. I am very excited to be here to celebrate my fellow schoolmates.
Hello everyone. My name is David Bowman. I am also a 6th grade student council representative here at Dodge. Good evening. My name is Andrea Reeves and I'm also a student council representative. I am very excited to be here tonight.
Hello and welcome. My name is Carter Williams and I'm also a... Before we begin the Student of the Month presentations, we want to give a quick student council update on what is going on here at Dodge.
Hello, I'm Tyler Six. I'm the other assistant principal at Dodge. This past week, students were chosen by their peers to serve as classroom representatives. They nominated themselves and delivered speeches to demonstrate why they were the best candidate for their role. In their speeches, they emphasized the key qualities expected of a student council representative, such as being a positive role model, a conscientious student, and being committed to making Dodge safe and an enjoyable school. The selected students exemplify empathy, honesty, clearly, responsibility.
Today we held our first official meeting of the year and kicked off our first project focused on More Kindness Day. We saw this as a wonderful opportunity to promote unity and a sense of belonging within our school. As part of the project, we'll be decorating one of the main bulletin boards and spreading kindness throughout the school. Next month, we'll shift our focus to organizing an incredible camp feature to support the Emergency Assistance Center. Now let's get started with our Student of the Month awards. Ms. Gossett, band teacher, nominates Sylvia Meyer. Sylvia has a positive role model to her peers and is always ready to learn. She's always positive and brings great energy in the classroom. Great job, Sylvia.
Mrs. Record, 4th grade teacher, nominates Sanaya Butler. Sanaya is an exemplary student and is so deserving of this honor. Sanaya begins each day with a smile and has always had a positive attitude. She also works hard, participates in class, and completes all of her assignments. In addition, Sanaya follows the school expectations and is kind and respectful to everyone. Mrs. Recker is lucky to have Sanaya in her class and is very proud of her. Congratulations on being Student of the Month.
Miss Madden, 6th grade teacher, nominates Avery Neff. Avery has had a very good start to the school year. She continues to work hard and has a positive attitude each and every day. Avery continues to ask for help when needed and has been very successful academically. She gets excited when she does well on assignments and will keep asking how she did until we grade it. Ms. Madden is looking forward to working with Avery on a daily basis. Keep up the great work. We are super proud of you. Ms. Brennan, 4th grade teacher, nominates Clay Delaney. Of our class, he comes to school each day with a big smile and ready to learn attitude. I am so impressed by his efforts towards his schoolwork, his kindness to others, and his respectfulness. Clay is a leader in the classroom and participates in our class discussions every day. He is one of the first people to compliment his classmates or help them out when they are in need. Clay is well liked by his peers and works well with everyone. We are so proud of Clay, and he shows what a fantastic hunter Dagger is. sixth grade teacher nominates Savannah Russell. The smile that Savannah enters class with daily is not the only way that Savannah lights up our classroom. Savannah actively participates in morning meetings, classroom discussions, and core subject activities. Savannah is helpful to her peers, completes her work on time, and is engaged with context being studied in the classroom. It is a pleasure to have Savannah on our team, and we are looking forward to seeing all the great things that she will accomplish this year.
Mrs. Victor, fourth grade teacher, nominates Olivia Cochran. She is so proud to nominate Olivia as her student of the month. Olivia is chosen for this honor because of her generous spirit and dedication. She consistently goes the extra mile to include and support her peers. Even in challenging situations, she works diligently and maintains positive attitude. Her perseverance and compassion truly makes her an outstanding choice for Student of the Month.
Miss York, fifth grade teacher, nominates Navya Prajapati. Navya is very self-motivated, and she always gives 100% effort. She asks questions when she needs assistance and completes all of her assignments on time. Navya is respectful to her peers and her teachers. We are happy to have Navya in our class. We are Twinsburg Tiger proud of you.
Miss Mira, sixth grade teacher, nominates Camilla Siddiq. Camilla is always prepared and ready to go in class. He's excited to learn and participates every day. He does quality work and takes pride in doing his best every day. He's a true leader of the class by example and is going to do well in whatever he decides to do for his future. Miss Smiley, fifth grade teacher, nominates Christian Grant. Christian is a model student in the classroom. He approaches every task with a positive attitude and always puts in his best effort. He participates frequently in class discussions and works well with all of his classmates. He is kind, inquisitive, and an absolute pleasure to have in class. We are honored to select Christian as our Tiger Strong Student of the Month.
I have great news! You will now each be awarded 10 Tiger tickets.
And if we have any Dodge teachers here, can you please come to the front of the room for a picture? Thank you.
Thank you.
So I believe at this time we will turn it over to Mrs. Hunt and the high school.
Closer.
Stay right there for longer.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to talk about the THS Students of the Month. So without further ado, I'm going to go straight into it. So our first student of the month, and when I call your name, if you can come up and just stand in front and let everybody look at you while I talk about you, that would be great. So the first student of the month is Millie Wolf. So Millie is a dedicated high school senior who was recently selected to serve in the Ohio Teen District Attorney General's Ambassador Program, where she is one of only 2 representatives from Summit County. With aspirations of majoring in international relations or global studies at a 4-year college, she dreams of becoming a foreign officer, ambassador, or attending law school. After attending the program's kickoff event in Columbus, which welcomed 150 members, Millie chose to join the Human Trafficking Committee. She is excited to bring valuable information and resources back to her community, demonstrating her commitment to making a positive impact. We are so proud of you, Millie. Stay up here. All right, so the following 12th grade students have been selected as Students of the Month due to their recognition as commended students in the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Program. Approximately 34,000 students throughout the nation receive this honor due to their academic promise. Students enter this program by taking the preliminary SAT, also known as the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test, last October, and earning a qualifying score. And so the first commended student is Rhea Balani. Rhea's award as a commended student highlights her academic excellence and commitment to her studies. After graduation, she plans to attend a 4-year university to pursue a double major in history and philosophy on a pre-law track, reflecting her passion for critical thinking and social justice. Additionally, Rhea aims to minor in music performance, showcasing her love for the arts. With her diverse interests, she aspires to make a meaningful impact in both the legal field and the music community. So congratulations, Rhea. And next up is Hayden Couch. We recognize Hayden as a commended student for his academic dedication and achievements. He plans to major in mechanical engineering after he graduates, reflecting his strong interest in technology and problem solving. And although he hasn't decided on a specific university, Hayden is excited about the possibilities ahead as he prepares to pursue his passion and contribute to the engineering field. Congratulations, Hayden. And next up is Dhruvi Desai. We are proud to honor Dhruvi as a commended student, which is a reflection of her hard work and academic achievements. After graduation, she plans to attend a 4-year university on the pre-med track, driven by her passion for science and her desire to make a difference in the healthcare field. With her dedication to her studies and commitment to helping others, Dhruvi is excited to embark on this journey towards becoming a physician. Congratulations, Dhruvi.
this, but if I get it wrong, please don't judge me. Shreya Daraya. Daraya?
Very good.
Okay, come on. Shreya's recognition as commended student reflects her strong academic performance and dedication. She plans to attend a 4-year college to study business administration and Spanish, combining her interest in commerce and language. We look forward to seeing all Shreya accomplishes in a successful career that will combine her multiple skill sets and passions. Congratulations, Shreya. The next group of students have been selected as Students of the Month due to their recognition as semifinalists in the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Program. These academically talented high school seniors have an opportunity to continue in the competition for National Merit Scholarships that will be offered next spring. Each student is one of approximately 16,000 students nationally achieving this recognition after having taken the preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship qualifying test in October. In addition to getting a certificate from us, honor of all honors, these students will also receive a letter from Elliot Kokovich, the Summit County prosecutor, who said this in a letter to me. Being recognized as a commended scholar and semifinalist is no small feat. It reflects not only their intellect, but also their commitment to excellence and perseverance in their studies. We recognize that such achievements require not only personal determination, but also the support of family, friends, and educators. And so first up is Jaren Jenick. Jaren's achievement as a semifinalist highlights his academic excellence and success as a Twinsburg student. With aspirations of pursuing a 4-year degree in biology or biochemistry, he plans to attend medical school to become a physician. Although he is still exploring various fields within medicine, Jaren is particularly interested in specializing in surgery, reflecting his commitment to a career dedicated to helping others and making a meaningful impact in the medical field. Congratulations, Jaren. And next up is Arya Gabi. We recognize Arya's achievement, which showcases her academic talents and hard work. After graduation, she plans to attend college to study history and political science on a pre-law track driven by her passion for justice and advocacy. This recognition not only highlights her commitment to education, but also sets the stage for her future aspirations in law, where she aims to make a positive impact in her community. Congratulations. And then last but not least, Nora Kremer, who could not be here tonight. But Nora's recognition is a testament to her academic achievements and dedication. She plans to major in biochemistry after high school, reflecting her passion for the sciences and her desire to explore the complexities of life at a molecular level. While she hasn't yet decided on a university, Nora is eager to embark on this next chapter where she hopes to deepen her knowledge and make meaningful contributions to the field. And so congratulations to all the THS Students of the Month. Parents, feel free to take pictures.
You guys, I love you all. Look over here.
Congratulations. And if you really want to stay for presentations, you're welcome. But if not, you are also free to have a nice night.
Mrs. Travis, that concludes my report for tonight. We are excited this evening to present 3 administrative reports. The first is Mr. Matt Strickland, our business manager. As you know, Mr. Strickland has responsibility for all things facilities and grounds. And Mrs. Davis and I were recently chatting about the facilities assessment plan, and we thought maybe it would be a prime opportunity for Matt to do a small presentation this evening that provides information for our community about what is this facilities assessment plan, why it's important, and how it keeps our buildings and grounds as up to date as possible. So good evening, Matt.
Thank you, Superintendent Powers. Thank you, members of the board, community staff, you folks at home. You make it all happen. So, the facilities assessment plan, sometimes internally we call it the 5-year master plan. There's some synonymous names for it. But we want to talk tonight about the highlights of the plan and what sort of data goes into it, how we make decisions financially, repair-wise, purchase-wise, all those sorts of things. I want to say first that the facilities assessment plan never stops. This will tell you that it gets updated annually, but anybody on the administrative team would tell you that we are constantly talking about this all throughout every school year. Ohio has some pretty interesting season changes, a lot of freeze and thaw, 80 degrees, then 30 degrees. So because of that, our buildings and property that we own require constant conversation about investment and repair and those sorts of things. But I want you to know too that this plan is not updated just by the business manager or just by the superintendent. It's a committee, multiple committees that look at this plan yearly. The Building and Grounds Committee is made up of a few board members. The Finance Committee also made up of board members. The administrative team and numerous contractors and vendors that we engage with throughout the year to look at all of our primary operating systems of the buildings, not just to make sure they're running correctly, but that if we forecast that they're going to need repair or replacement, that is where this is, that work is captured, is in this plan. Listed there for you are the primary operating systems of any of our buildings. That's roofing, HVAC, paving, electrical, plumbing, and real property. That's the actual grass and dirt and the plots of property that we own. Our guiding light for anything, for any building that we have, is warm, safe, and dry. We budget and plan everything under those parameters for our buildings. So as we read through this together, just to understand and try to look at everything under that lens. We talked about throughout the school year, this plan never sleeps. We are constantly looking at short, medium, and long-term needs of the district. I would draw the comparison to your own home or wherever you live. You constantly have things in mind that you really need to do, things that you'd like to do, and things that maybe someday. So you've got, and then we're going to talk about your budget as well. How do you make it affordable, right? So we're constantly looking at our facilities and properties under those lens. Tonight we're going to talk about the Garland Company and our roof systems, primarily because in our 5-year forecast, roofing is our most projected, most expensive need district-wide. So tonight we're going to focus mainly on roofing. So Garland utilizes thermal scanning technology, and they identify the areas of our roofs that are most in need of repair or replacement. I do want you to know that we partner with other vendors that take the same kinds of looks at our HVAC, electrical, plumbing systems. Again, we're emphasizing roofing because it's the highest dollar item in our 5-year forecast. Up on the screen right now are an example of the thermal scans that they give us, and they give us multiple versions of this. The one, and it's in like a stoplight, red, yellow, green, right? Red is our highest needs sections. Tonight we're going to talk about Wilcox. The aerial view, the Google Earth view, what's outlined in red would be our highest needs area of the building. Yellow are areas that we've got a little bit more time on. We could maybe budget that 5 to 10 years out. And then green are areas that might be of a little bit of caution or concern, but there's no need to budget those in the current 5-year forecast. When we come here, this is what Garland provides us. We do it about every 2 years, and you'll see again the red, yellow, green model. And again, what happens is I didn't put to print my actual 5-year budget forecast. That's more of our internal document. But we take numbers like this from all of our operating systems that we're talking about, and we look at these numbers and we try to calculate, okay, what can we afford to budget in year 1? What is in red that's really going to need attention? Now, as we progress through this presentation tonight, I want to remind especially the folks at home, this is just for one building. This is for Wilcox. We have 5 schools. We have a Board of Education office. I just want to say that similar to your home when you develop those short, medium, and long-range goals and planning, we are trying to do that for multiple properties on a very finite budget. So we take these numbers and we put them into the 5-year forecast. That takes us into the budget portion of the 5-year assessment and the plans. Budgeting is not only an equally important part of the facilities assessment plan, some years it's the most important part. Our budget process, again, really happens annually. We might really talk about it and have agreements on it in the early spring and summer, but we are constantly having those conversations as an administrative team about what the needs are in the district. And I want folks to know some of the feedback that we've gotten with the Tiger Legacy project is the condition of the buildings as they are currently. You want to be proactive when it comes to building maintenance. We really try to be. The value in a 5-year plan is being proactive, is having those thermal scans done so we can try to diligently budget your tax dollars, put them to work the best the way that we can. But I will tell you, when you look at the age of our facilities and the rising costs that we'll talk about later, it's very difficult to be proactive. A lot of times we do, in fact, find ourselves being reactive because we do struggle to keep pace with the repairs that are needed on older facilities versus the finite budget that we have. I want to encourage folks to know that in the budgeting process every year, and I always say this, and it is a bragging point for the district here, and you should be proud that we really aggressively pursue consortium pricing and grants anywhere possible to make sure that taxpayer dollars go the furthest they can go in the Twinsburg City School District. So for the business department, and in terms of facilities and repairs, our primary funding source for repairs comes through the Permanent Improvement Fund. We've talked a lot about that to educate folks throughout the Tiger Legacy Project to understand the difference between the general fund and the PI fund. The PI fund affords the district about $1.8 million per year on average, and that's shared primarily between the business department and the curriculum and technology department. I draw attention to that because as we talk about some more finite numbers, that's going to be important to know that the business department doesn't get to spend all of the permanent improvement funds. So what you see here, I tried to do, we pulled, the treasurer was helpful and pulled a few years back, we went basically back to COVID to try to provide a high-level snapshot of the major repairs and purchases that the district has made in the past few years. And I want to draw attention to these, and then the next slide is going to talk about how not all of these are my department. And the point in that is that PI fund that we rely on is spread out more than just repairs of the buildings. But in the vein of repairs, doors and windows, that's going to include interior, exterior doors, safety considerations when it comes to doors, windows. We do lettering and numbering in our district for safety and for our emergency plan. So all of those facts and figures in the past 3 years, we've spent about $150,000. Floors, that could be carpet, rugs, tile, any type of permanent improvement that's going to last longer than 7 years. That's where those figures come from, and that's about $100,000. HVAC and electrical, this is going to include anything, rooftop units, air conditioning units, the water pumps that power those units, and then electrical, obviously our panels, anything that we experience in the kitchens, all of those sorts of things. That's at $400,000. Paving is going to be any concrete, asphalt, walkways throughout the district. Anywhere that you see a hard surface you can walk on, that comes out of our paving budget. We've spent over $900,000 in the past few years. Plumbing, just exactly what it sounds like, anything that's either underground or in restrooms or in the kitchens, that's at over $100,000. Roofing, that's any roof system in the district or the board office, that's at over $700,000. So in the past few years, we got $2.35 million my department has spent just in those categories. Now I've got a disclaimer on a later slide, but I want to say that's not general maintenance, that's not pieces and parts, that's not routine maintenance, elevator maintenance, those sorts of things. They're not as high dollar, but just in those major components we're at $2.35 million. And again, I'll consistently say, recall that the district brings in $1.8 million in a year, and that's important as we proceed. I've included some examples of some paving work that we've done in the district. This was behind RBC with the maintenance garage there and the bus garage. Some roofing work. This was actually the high school this past summer over the gym area. And then some HVAC work. To your left are water pumps that power our chillers and our air conditioning system, and that's a frequent sight across the district. When those get old, when you walk into a boiler room, you might see that white insulation wrap and you think, oh, the plumbing's in good shape. But often what lies beneath is an old rusty story, and when those go out, they're very expensive to fix. To the right is the cooling tower at Dodge, and we all know that story, that impending repair. But as you can see, we've got some aging rooftop units, HVAC components, those sorts of things. I want to draw attention to this. I know we're talking about repairs tonight, but I just want you to have a keen understanding of that PI fund. When it comes to major purchases, that also comes out of the PI fund. So school buses is a good example. In the past few years, we've spent over $1 million in school buses. We have a 10-year rotation. We rotate 3 school buses per year. Each school bus is right around $110,000, give or take. If it's a special needs bus, add about $25,000 to that. I use that as an example just so folks understand. If you say, well, why can't we do all the roofs, or why can't we do this, or why can't we do that? That finite pot of money gets spread out a lot more than just building repair. Other vehicles would be trucks, UTVs, anything basically with 4 wheels at $150,000 in the past few years. Equipment, that's going to be all other. Whether it's a lawnmower, whether it's a leaf blower, whether it's a floor scrubber that custodians clean the hallways with, vacuum cleaners, any other major piece of equipment, we've spent over $150,000 in the past few years on. Chromebooks is a little bit more of a recent addition. They expanded the parameters and the useful life the manufacturers did of Chromebooks. So that has now joined the fold of what we spend out of the PI fund through curriculum and technology. That's at about $500,000 in the past few years since we decided to go that route. So just in the past few years on stuff you can put your hands on, you can jump in and operate, you're at $1.8 million, okay? Again, I'm going to draw your attention back to the district brings in about $1.8 million in a fiscal year or in a calendar year for permanent improvement funds. So when you add the two together, and again, we're only looking back to COVID, the district has expended at least $4.15 million through the permanent improvement fund on repairs and purchases of either buses, vehicles, or equipment. The disclaimer at the bottom, this is not inclusive of the entire budget. It doesn't include parts, smaller repairs, routine maintenance items. When I talked to Mrs. Farthing earlier, like she said, that, the Chromebooks is the biggest portion, but it doesn't include all of the other tech items that we do buy. We just wanted to give a snapshot tonight of where the money goes, and that we really truly try to be diligent with it, but it is a very finite amount of money. The summary that I just want to bring before you tonight is that we really do try, all of our departments try to spread that money across the facilities and across the equipment needs the best that we can. We try to be proactive with our aging facilities, but the truth is we find ourselves reacting to circumstances really quite often. I know I feel like Superintendent Powers is pretty consistently putting out messaging that another thing has happened, whether it's the leg of power that goes out at Bissell, whether it's a lightning strike, whether it's the water main that went out at Bissell. We can continue to experience these things, and I want people to understand it's not due to a lack of proactive maintenance. Sometimes, just like at your own home, when things wear out and components wear out, if you've got a finite budget, you've got to prioritize those short, medium, and long run needs. And we really are trying to do the best that we can do with what we're given. And then I'll add that our facility needs, and when we pair that with the rising costs of our labor and our materials, it is quickly, we're not going to hide from that, it is outpacing our permanent improvement amount. On any given year, I'll use right now, we're waiting on final projections to repair the gym roof at RBC. That is going to range anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million, depending on the structural things they're going to have to do to fix that roof. I bring that up because let's say it's $1 million when it comes back. That's over half of a year's worth of the permanent improvement fund in one section of one building for roofing. That's no other building, that's just one section of one building amongst the many that we own. So I just want facts and figures like that to sink in for folks, that we really are trying to do the best that we can within the parameters that we have to work with. At this time, does anybody have any questions or comments or a clarification on anything?
No, I just appreciate you pointing some of this out because it's very easy to jump to conclusions as to where the money goes or what we're doing with the money or not doing with the money, but to be able to present it in factual information like this gives just more clear understanding of what we have and what we can do with what we have.
Sure.
Thank you.
It also gives clarity to the fact of how much one roof in one of our type of buildings cost as compared to when someone is trying to compare that to patching or replacing a roof on their home.
Right.
Still very expensive in both locations,
Sure.
but vastly different when you're in these type of large facilities.
Absolutely.
And on the one, Mr. Strickland, on that one slide, I want to say, this one.
Yep.
Do you have it broken down to what buildings or no?
I can provide that if you need it.
I was just wondering if if we were asked.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of this was generated from reports that my office and the treasurer's office pulled and I compiled. But yes, we absolutely can break it down by building. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, the $500,000 repair on the roof at RBC is just over the gym. So it's not the entire roof. So imagine if it was. Yeah. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate the information.
So we're going to switch gears, and Mrs. Farthing and I are going to update the board with respect to Senate Bill 29. Board, as you know, over the last couple of weeks, I've been sending you a lot of information about Senate Bill 29. And fact remains that we have been grappling with the implications of 29 for the duration since the summertime. In the spring, we had heard through our various groups, the Alliance for High Quality Education being one of them, that legislators were talking about Senate Bill 29, which is called the Education Record and Student Privacy Bill. And on the front end, in its purest intent, this bill had a really good idea. And what that idea was to protect students with respect to how technology providers are using the information that they collect when students are using those tools. So that's great. We all want to sign up because we want to make sure that our students are protected. But somehow or another, from the point of the introduction of the bill to the point in which Governor DeWine signed it into law in June, other language was added to the bill, which now provides our staff with a number of requirements that they hadn't expected this school year. And so this week, Mrs. Farthing and I and Mr. Strickland have been around to our buildings and with Mrs. Mariel's help to introduce Senate Bill 29 to our staff. Because as you heard from me and as you saw in my parent notice this evening at 5 o'clock, there are many things now that our staff will have to think through and provide notice of to our families should they decide to use some of these tools in their classroom digitally. I do want to say, in a call as late as this morning with the Alliance, there is movement going on in Columbus. The legislators realize through all of our lobbying groups that this bill is problematic. Problematic, number one, because it only has implications for public school educators. So if I'm at a private school, if I'm at a parochial school, I am not managing all of that we're asking our educators here in our district and public schools across Ohio to manage. So that's problematic. So our legislators understand that they have got to fix this language. I understand from my call this morning with the Alliance Executive Committee that once the legislators are back in session in November, that they will work on adding some language, amending the language so that this will be less restrictive for our staff. I also heard the earliest date that the legislators will meet to discuss this will be November 21st. So we have at least a month here in time that we're going to have to manage this interesting law now that gives our district staff members additional things that they need to do to alert families when we are using certain technologies. So this evening, Mrs. Farthing is going to give you the nuts and bolts of the new law, explain what the requirements are now for our staff, and what our parents can expect from us, at least for this next month, while the legislators, once they return after the election season, it is our hope they put this on the front end of their to-do list so that we can have some relief from them, hopefully before the beginning of December. So Mrs. Farthing, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Powers. Good evening, Board of Education, community members. Sorry for our educators in the audience who get to hear this again, and administrators, sorry. We'll do it a little different, but not much. The short story about Senate Bill 29 is an act that governs the collection, use, and protection of educational records by technology providers. So the key with this originally was that the focus was on the technology providers. A lot of it is falling to us at this point in time, but that was the goal, the technology providers. And I don't think anyone would disagree with the fact that we want to keep our students' privacy, data safe. Like that part, we all agree with that. We all are good with that. Just a few definitions that are used multiple times throughout the bill or the law. Educational records is close to, but not exactly educational records, under FERPA, but very close. School issued device, we want to make sure that we're thinking about that as not just the hardware, but also the software and the accounts that the students use. So a lot of times when we say device, we truly mean the physical device that students are carrying with them. But we really want to talk about the accounts that go with it, because that's really where the privacy piece comes into play. Student means a student who is currently sitting in our classrooms, and it also is former students. We just don't know exactly how far back former students go. A technology provider is a person that we contract with, so a company that helps provide an online tool for us, a company like, or an ITC like NeoNet, who's providing data for us, and they're storing our data both. But they are involved with an educational record of our students. Part of the bill includes, I keep saying bill, but Senate bill, because that's what I'm calling it, but the law, I think everyone knows what it's about. Part of that is focused on the technology providers and putting some more parameters on the technology providers. So the example I used was we have stopped using our Seesaw program at Wilcox, and we also stopped using PowerSchool registration, and we switched over to Final Forms. So there was a part of that by the time we ended those contracts, that those providers needed to provide that data back to us, or they needed to provide proof that they deleted that data. So, and they have 90 days to do that. In the past, there was not a parameter on the date, and now there is a date on there. So we think that the parts that working with the technology providers are very good, and setting some more parameters on what they're doing with our student data. This is the piece that we are talking about a lot, and it is the restrictions on access and monitoring, and this is where we're going to talk about the notifications that our families are going to be receiving. Under Senate Bill 29, school districts and technology providers may not electronically access or monitor the location tracking features of the device, which we do not have turned on, audio or visual receiving from the school-issued device, and then student interactions with a school-issued device included but not limited to keystrokes and web browsing activities. And then there are 6 exemptions to that rule. The first one is what we'll be using the most, is the educational purpose for instruction, which is really, that's what we're here for. And then we have judicial warrant, we have something related to a threat to life or safety, and then we have the federal laws as to why we are providing filtering for our students. Necessary to comply with federal law. So we have the Children's Internet Protection Act, and we have Children's Online Protection Acts, COPA, and we work in the district to make sure that we are providing filtering for our students, and also we have modules that our students take about Children's Online Protection Act, so we do those each year. Those are required for us to receive E-rate funding, so, and obviously we want to keep our students filtered. 3 notification requirements, and one will begin in August of next year, and this is a notification that all curriculum testing and assessments vendors that we work with are available for our families, so they will be able to log in and see which vendors we contract with and what records that they keep of our students. The notice of general monitoring is the information that Mrs. Powers provided this evening to families, that we do monitor school-issued devices, and we're going to have, and we will continue to do so. And obviously that notice needed to go out before tomorrow. And in the future, these types of this information is going to be part of Final Forms. So this year we had a COPA agreement where the families agreed to the tools that we have, but we will add these pieces to that for the future. But this is, since it's the middle of the year, this is how we're doing it now. The 72-hour trigger notifications, these are when you are using 3 of the categories, and we must provide notice to families within 72 hours. One of the things when a student is doing searching that may be inappropriate, a principal will receive notification of that activity, and then principals now have 72 hours to make communication with the parents, both a phone call and in writing. So just to boil this down to what can our families expect, attach information about today when at Parent Square about the fact that we are monitoring and accessing student devices, and in the future we will be providing information about the curriculum testing and assessment providers. But Parent Square notifications are going to be forthcoming for our families related to things like GoGuardian, Google Suite, Naviance, tech supports, Turnitin submissions, And as you noticed, we had our meeting this morning with Wilcox, and the majority of our Wilcox staff is not going to be impacted by these things. However, when we talk to our high school friends, they are very impacted. So I feel like it's as simple as the older your children are, the more notifications you're going to be receiving. So I'm going to go to that slide and then I'll go back. So the older your children are, the more notifications you're going to receive. We will only be using online tools of approved vendors because we want to make sure we are protecting our students' data. And also the 72-hour trigger notification. So if there is a need, families will hear from the building principals and also receive a written notification in regards to if we use the location tracking features, audio-visual reporting, or if we need to do something with the student interactions of the device, for example, the web browsing. So we are going to be working as hard as we can to fulfill the spirit of the law, and I will just say to our families, we're sorry in advance for the amount of notifications you will be receiving. The staff are going to be putting Senate Bill 29 notifications in the subject line. So if you are at work and you cannot, like you're worried about your child, know that Senate Bill 29 is going to receive those notifications, but your child is safe and fine, and that's not your priority while you're in your work day. So
the other thing I want to mention is that the language in this law is very ambiguous. So depending on your board counsel, one interpretation of the law may be significantly different than your neighbor's. So Jen and I were on multiple conversations, multiple webinars the last couple of weeks. And most recently, we were with a group of Summit County superintendents who have different board councils. Their interpretation is slightly different than ours. We are going with the interpretation of your board council, Mr. Peters, and so that's the information that we've shared with our staff. As he wrote to us last night, even in the world of legal folks, there's a lot of conversation about how do you interpret this. That's the problem with this law, it's very ambiguous. We are very hopeful that legislators will make some significant changes in the month of November so that some of the restrictions on our staff with all this reporting might eventually be lessened. So bottom line is we all want the students to be safe. We don't want their information to be shared with unnecessary parties. At the same point, we believe that our staff does a really good job of protecting students' privacy on their education records. And so we look forward to legislators making some adjustments sooner than later to relieve them of some of these responsibilities. Do you have any questions, course board? This is as complicated as any language we've ever looked at.
So if a high school teacher uses a specific program and it's not on the list, should they have to notify the parents in that classroom to say, hey, we are using this system, or do they not use that program anymore?
Right, we are asking that we're kind of on hold. We have approved tools that we've been using for years, but we're asking like a little pause on new tools for right now. And it's not really necessarily, the teachers won't be notifying you if they're just using a tool. It's more about when, if it's the monitoring like GoGuardian, because with GoGuardian, the teachers can have little thumbnails of the students' devices, of the screens that they're on. And then like at the English department, when they have a Turnitin submission, when we turn it in for plagiarism detection, and also like if the teachers are providing feedback to Google Docs and Google Slides, things like that. When the way we're looking at it is like a human interaction on top of something the students have done on their device.
Okay, thank you.
So it sounds like you're saying that you're apologizing because we're going to get a lot of notifications and our kids in the high school. So it sounds like it's going to take a lot of the teachers' times outside the regular work day to report this, because I know like the planning periods or whatever, they're already using those for everything the teachers need it for. So it sounds like the law's not allowing for that.
No, so what is good for our district is we switch to Parent Square. And so if a teacher knows that they're going to use GoGuardian in their classroom, they can preset the message to go out. Like when I do my Sunday update, I'm not working on it on Sunday morning. I have it done by Sunday night. I just schedule it to go out. So if a teacher knows in her or his plans that they're going to be using one of these monitoring tools, we've advised them to preset the notification that goes out in ParentsWare. So they know that 3 things need to be included. So it's not a very long notice to parents. It's going to say, today is Friday, October 25th. I'm using GoGuardian for an instructional practice in my classroom. That's all they have to say. Mrs. Farthing has done a great job of putting together a file with all the information that staff needs, cut and paste, just put it out there. So we're not asking staff to be very verbose in the messaging. It's just letting families know that we're using this and what we're using it for and the date we're using it on. And that's all we have to do. So you have to We need report each day. They have to tell us. For each day, and it has to come from the teacher. An administrator is not able to come on top of a teacher to provide that notice.
I'll be putting that on me.
So, yeah, as you know, we've had a lot of questions this past week. We are seeking the answers. We continue to build our FAQs for the staff, and that's the best place for staff to visit, repository of questions to ask. And if something, like we had a question about how does this impact progress book with grades coming out this week, it doesn't. The student's not starting that, that's teachers putting data in. So it's not something that they have to be overly concerned about sending a notice out. Any other questions about Senate Bill 12? I'm sure you have a lot. Just let us know what they are. Yeah, we have a lot of questions too. Okay, and as the board has asked, quarterly, we provide for you an update to our strategic plan. Half of the plan at this meeting, and then the other half of the plan will be at our next board meeting this evening. Reporting will be 21st century teaching, learning, facilities, and safety. And so I'm going to turn this back over to Mrs. Farthing for 21st century teaching and learning.
Wow, so excited. Good evening again. So as Mrs. Travis started at the beginning, it is hard to believe that we are already at the end of Q1 because it truly feels like we just did the June wrap up. Like I don't know where time goes. So, but first up tonight, we're going to talk about 21st century teaching and learning. And our goal that we're going to talk about this evening is our AI goal. And I'll read it just to put it back on everyone's memory or put it back in your thought process. During the 24-25 school year, the Twinsburg City School District will convene a district AI committee to develop an implementation plan for district-wide AI adoption. The committee members will facilitate the adoption of AI building operations, student future readiness, student achievement, and delivery of services as measured by survey data and pilot classroom rubrics. And we're hoping that the Senate Bill 29 doesn't impede us too much, but it may pull us back a little bit in some new tools, but we'll work through that. So the committee that has started to meet, and we started with a survey for our staff members. And as you can see, we asked the staff, how familiar are you with the concept of AI? And I would like to preface this with saying that we did the survey in September. So it was before the PD we're going to talk about in a moment. So somewhat familiar. It wasn't like overwhelmingly the staff members were overly familiar with it. And then the next question we asked was, how frequently do you use AI-powered tools or applications in your work? And if you look at that, there was not a lot at that point in time. So again, this was completed in September. And since that time, the action steps that we have worked on for this committee, or this goal, we have had our October 3rd Professional Development Day. That day included an AI track. The picture on the left is an example of just a few blocks of the time, and the red were the AI goal. The AI track, we asked our staff to at least attend one AI session. The gentleman's picture up there is Eric Kurtz. He's kind of a guru in all things Google and also all things AI now. And he gave us a shout out in his weekly newsletter, Control Alt Achieve. So I just wanted to show you that he told that he was here with us. And the staff who attended this session, they loved him. And he was in the auditorium for 4 sessions and very great feedback on that. Also during October 3rd, the committee met for the first time. And the District AI Committee will also meet again on November 5th. And our next rollout with the committee is a student survey, and we're going to have that rolling out by the end of this week. And then the next steps will be decided by that committee. So that is the AI goal, and now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Turner, and she is going to talk about the next goal. Would you like to click? Or
Sure.
Okay, there you go.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Good evening again. So it is my pleasure to talk to you a little bit about the second 21st century teaching and learning goal. And like Jen, I will go ahead and read it as well, especially for those at home. By the end of the 24-25 school year, the Twinsburg City School District will demonstrate growth in literacy initiatives through the implementation and consistent application of evidence-based practices derived from the science of reading, as demonstrated by staff engagement through professional development, PGP, which is professional goal plan conferences, classroom observations, and walkthroughs. And so tonight it is my pleasure to introduce to you two exemplar educators that are at Wilcox right now. We have our reading specialists, Elizabeth Kinsella and Rhonda Albers, and they're going to talk to you a little bit about a very, very abbreviated presentation that they did on the October 3rd Professional Development Day for staff. I happen to be sitting in on that one, and I get to work with these amazing ladies every day and see what they do with children. But I was really, really struck with the information about how the brain learns to read and write. And they're the experts, so Elizabeth Kinsella is going to start, and I believe they have some exciting props for you. So do you want to click or do you want me to click? Okay, absolutely. Thank you both.
I brought my bag of tricks. I also am getting over a cold, so I apologize if I'm not talking loud enough. Just yell at me and I will talk louder. All right, so while we're looking at this picture up here, I want you guys to notice that there's two different types of brains here. We have our typical learner when it comes to reading and a dyslexic brain. And the important thing to note on here is that that very first part that's red in the brain, it's on the left side of your brain. It's right up here. That red part of your brain in a typical reader is somewhat small. As we get into a dyslexic brain, it's far bigger. It's almost like hyperactive, and it's really working hard to store that information and to gain all of the outside information that's coming in that it can pick up. They call that the Broca's area, and the Broca's area is really more focused on pictures, ideas that come into the brain. So when we look at those other two colors, they're not present right now in a dyslexic brain. So when a student comes into our classrooms and they're struggling in reading, we don't necessarily know if they have dyslexia or not. We know they're struggling, but the teachers then can take this information and look at it and say, okay, I know what parts of the brain I need to start working on and really diving into in order to make everything connect in the end so that we can have really good quality reading comprehension. I'm going to say next slide, but I don't know where I put it. Here we go. So in our next slide, I'm going to show you this. I brought a brain. It is in the picture, but I think we get a little bit more solid information from it, and we can see it really well when we do this. I'm going to give you that side of the brain. So in reading, we don't really need that right side of the brain. We need the left side of the brain. And so when a student is learning to read, it's really important that this is first activated up here. So we have this Broca's area here, and we activate that part of the brain. When it's active, a student can see a picture of something and go, oh, I know what that is, and they can name it. So you see a little kid that can say, oh, that's a ball. When you see a jar of jam, they look at that, this part of the brain says, oh, I see that, I know that's jam, and they put that into their brain and they store it there. Remember that red picture that I just showed you? It's really hyperactive in a dyslexic brain or a struggling reader. When we get to the second part of the brain, I'm going to go scientific on you for a minute. They call it the parietal temporal, hopefully I said that right, area of the brain, and that's our word analysis. And so what happens in that part of the brain is once this lights up, we need to have a connection here. And so think of neurons that are just kind of like all kind of fanning out and connecting to this side of the brain. When they connect, now a student can look at that picture of jam and say, I know that's jam, but I also know the sounds that go with it. So they can say, and they can spell it out and say jam. They can break it apart. Doesn't mean that they're writing it on paper. It doesn't mean that they're telling you the letter name. It just means that they can manipulate the sound in the word. And this can be done in a very young age. This can be done even with toddlers as you're talking to them and working with them. You could walk through a store and name something and say, let's break that sound apart. You don't have to say that to them, but you can start to do that to start to activate this part of the brain. Because once these two are active, now students are connecting the pictures to the mapping of the word. Once we get to this next part of the brain, this is the occipital temporal area, this is where words are formed for a student. So what happens now is they say, oh, I see that in written word, I can compare that, I can say, oh, I know that J, I know the sound that I hear when I see that J, and they can start to put that word together and they can tap it out and they can say, jam. Now they know that that word is jam. But the thing that we have to do as teachers and as parents out, in the community is what we want to do is when we see that, we want to not just say, okay, they can see a picture and identify it. They can manipulate the sounds and they can work through those sounds to make that word. Oh, they can read it, but we still need context for it. So what happens is we need to build all of those neurons to bring that together so that we have really good solid readers in our classrooms and in our homes. The way we do that is by activating all three of those. Now, the important part about this is that once we know that comprehension is there, we can say to a student, okay, so you know what jam is, you saw that picture of jam, but are there any other meanings to it? Because context is really important in what you're reading and what you're understanding. So a student might say, oh yeah, I spread jam on my bread when I make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I know what jam is. But then somebody else might say, wait a minute, my parents were driving and they said, oh, we're stuck in a jam. And so now they have that multiple meaning and they can decipher from the context what's going on, and that's where comprehension is really attained. And so that's what our purpose here is tonight, is to kind of talk you through that and let you know this is the why behind what we're doing with the science of reading, because it's not just another curriculum idea or program. This is a systematic approach that shows how you light up the brain in different ways for students to be really good, solid readers.
So, and these, if I can borrow your brain for just another moment, because all of this is the reading brain on the left side. It is unrelated to the artistic, nonverbal, spatial intelligences. So where you have a student who is very, very artistic and able to draw and do all this representation, but they struggle with writing. That's because we have two completely different systems here. You still have the neurons going from the brain down into the fingers working the muscles, but the conceptual areas where all these generate from are from two completely separate areas, and that's all I know about the artistic side of it. Is that it is unrelated to writing beyond that. She's fired up 3 sections of brain for reading. I'm going to add 2 more to it. The first being the yellow up at the top. This is where our graphomotor comes in, where your student, this is where the writing piece is involved with it. And all of these systems need to connect and work together. If there is a breakdown or a non-merging of those neurons between areas, the students aren't making connections and they're going to have a struggle. The graphomotor goes to the jam and to the j, and that letter is a J, and this is how I write a J, and I write all of those letters together. The piece down on the right, on the lower right, the red, is called the letterbox, specific area of the brain where the letter and word is stored. So as kids are reading sight words or they see jam and whoop, they know it. It can be in different fonts. They know it within those different fonts and what it means. This is where it is stored in the brain. And as kids learn decodable words by sight, they don't have to say every time they see it. They just know it. And that's where it's completely infused and connected in the brain here. We also have the motor planning. The green section there is the motor planning for vocalizations. So as kids are getting these sounds and these letters and putting them together, there's also the articulation piece. And part of that is the j, but then there's an auditory piece that is also activated. Was it in here? No, it wasn't in here. There's an auditory piece that is also activated
So as kids are in a silent environment and reading or writing, the auditory sections of the brain are also being activated. There's evidence, there's
Yeah, there's a science behind it that tells that auditory system is turning on. It's as though they're like hearing that inner voice.
Thank you, inner voice is what I was looking for. So all of these working together have a student down reading and writing. So when we have a student with a meltdown, when they can do all of these little pieces, but when it comes to generating writing and they fall apart completely, we have a breakdown in this area, and as teachers, that's what we're working on. We have some systematic ways of teaching all of this too, which is the fun part. Back to JAM, we've moved it here into the word plan. I have students in first grade that'll say plan and can tell you about it, but they're not hearing that L, they'll write P-A-N. And so I'm sitting down and with these little boxes and chunks of Play-Doh or blocks, and we're tearing apart the Play-Doh for each sound. P, P, O, A, no letters at this point. And then they'll squish it and say, O, A, and then they tap it. And after they can do that, and I can say, if I take away what's left, land. Or if we start with plan and we take away what's left, hand. And they get this mental manipulation of all of these sounds. Then we add letters to it. And then they're hearing it and then they're writing it. So we're at a really fun stage with that in first grade because I'm seeing all these little light bulbs go on when they put that beginning blend in. On the right are some activities we've talked about during our professional development with our teachers on how to use sentence builders or oral or simple comprehension responses to things in curriculum as they get all of this into writing. Do you have any questions for it?
Let me see if I can try to express myself with this question. But you talk about the dyslexic brain versus the, I guess for lack of a better word, regular brain. And then you talk about things in context and how kids read words by looking into context. So with the English language being so complex and you have rules like ID4E doesn't always apply to all these words, is it more difficult for a dyslexic brain to, like, let's say, I have read the book, I have a bead bracelet. Is it harder for them to see that E and A and know how to say that word, or are they picking that up through context? Or is it the same for both kinds of brains? They just, when it comes to certain words, you just have to look at the context.
I think it's yes, no, and all of the above.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing about having a dyslexic learner is that teaching a systematic approach is so important because we start at the bottom and work our way up. And almost everything has a rule. Obviously, almost everything breaks a rule somewhere along the road. But when we have somebody that's trying to read EA words, we're teaching explicitly EA says E, or AI says A, and then we're going through and we're teaching that rule to all of our students, which is really great because you might have a student that's not necessarily dyslexic but is struggling, and they're getting that same approach. If you think about it as, I like to look at a ladder. If you're trying to climb up to your roof, and I teach you that A says A down here, but I say, you know what, we're in a hurry, we're not gonna teach you that AR says R. I'm just gonna have you tap out the word car, if you say it, you know, and you try to do that, it's not gonna come out as the word car unless I teach you that rule. And so when you have those vowel teams, if you teach the rule, 90% of the time, hypothetically, I'm not quoting any research with that, but they're gonna understand, okay, that EA should say E. But then you get a word like read, R-E-A-D, and it doesn't say E, it says, I read the book. And so there are rule breakers, and there's times where you have to read it in different ways, and that's why helping these learners read with a systematic approach that says, hey, I'm gonna teach you from the bottom up, we're not gonna miss any rungs, because if we do, you're not gonna get to the next one without struggling and maybe slipping along the way. They're far more successful. Dyslexia is not something that we can cure, but we can sure give the kids the tools to be successful. And the most most important thing about it too is to think about this. Dyslexia is not something that we want to say, oh, I feel so bad that you have dyslexia, or I'm sorry you're struggling with this. We want to support our students, but we also have to recognize the amount of talent they have, because a dyslexic learner sees in 3D. And I could say right now, I want to build something, and I am not an artist whatsoever. This creative side doesn't turn up very often. And a dyslexic can see it already. They can see the picture, they can turn it around in their head, and they can visualize it. And so there's so many great qualities. I mean, we have people that are, Steve Jobs was a dyslexic. We have so many people that were dyslexic and are dyslexic that have made great strides in our world. And we don't want to miss these little ones and have them tell the story that, you know, my teacher gave up on me, or there's no hope for me because I can't read, because we're going to help them read. And so using these approaches and knowing the brain work behind it really helps every kid, not just those that are struggling.
One piece to the systematic teaching, really, you do this, and when this is mastered, you move to the next piece. And you work both of those together. And then all of this, you add the next piece, and you work them all together. So as we're progressing through, these students are asking, well, why does this word not have CK at the end of it? I think the word was, I don't remember what the word was, this just came up the other day. Kids are learning CK in first grade at the end of a one-syllable word with a short vowel. And the final sound was a K, but there was another consonant in front of it. So I was able to say, oh, CK is only 2 consonants together. When you have 3, it's going to get muddy. We'll get into that later, but for right now, only K goes at the end of this. We'll talk about that later in first grade. Some of those are like, well, that's a 3rd grade world. Do you really want to know it now? And they go, no, I got enough. But there is a systematic approach to it, and in the process of that, kids do question the rule, and they spot exceptions, and they're getting pretty good at calling us out on them.
And some of my biggest strugglers are the ones that will tell me, wait, you forgot this.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they'll tell me, because I'm so much on them, that they'll call me out on it and say, wait, you didn't put your breath on that to show it's a short vowel. You didn't do this, and I'm like, oh, all right, I've got my own teachers telling me what to do now. But it's really a great approach to doing this, and we've seen so much growth in these kids.
Thank you, and thanks for the example. That was really great.
Yeah, thank you.
And next is Russ Chappell from the high school with the personalized learning path.
There I am.
Yep.
Okay, good evening. Thanks for having me. My name is Russ Chappell. I'm a math teacher at Twinsburg High School. I'm here to talk about the personalized learning pathway, a piloted program we're doing here at the high school. So a little background story. So I've been part of this committee for 2 years. We would do about quarterly committee meetings, various places around the state of Ohio, with the Personalized Learning Network, the Ohio Personalized Learning Network, and then also a company called KnowledgeWorks. And then there'd be various schools, Sugar Falls, Riverside, from Painesville, things like that we would meet. And we would discuss how we were trying to approach teaching in a kind of a different way, kind of going away from the traditional setting of teaching and into more of a learner-centered teaching. This year we are piloting, like I said, the personalized learning pathway. I am the math teacher for these about 40 sophomores that we have. I'm the math teacher to teach geometry. Mrs. York, she teaches physical science. Me and her, or her and I, sorry, are together during first block every day with these 40 kids. And then second block at the high school every day is Zach Colgrove. He's the US history teacher, and then Maggie Chernick is the English 10 teacher. And they are together in block 2. Up on the screen here, you have the components of the personalized learning pathway. These were provided for us by the Ohio Personalized Learning Network. So the 5 big pillars, I say: learner-driven, flexible learning environment, authentic learning, optimal path and pace, and evidence of learning and feedback. So my plan tonight is to kind of talk about, just from the math and science block perspective, kind of an overall idea of what we want to do implementing these 5 ideas, and then give you some specific ideas of what we've done this quarter so far. Okay, so the first one is called learner-driven. So learner-driven is the idea of having the students really take ownership. almost becoming co-creators of their environment and what they're learning. I believe that this one takes a little bit of time because you have to get to know the students, get to know their interests. So the very first thing we did with the students the first couple of days is have them build a learner profile. We used a Google site as the avenue to do this. We had them create a 4-page Google site. The first page was a bio and interest page, similar to what a teacher might do in their classroom. Then we had a goals page. So this is personal and school. What do you want to do, short-term, long-term? Then we had them describe their learning. So we had them take some time to reflect on how they learn best, right? What tools teachers have used. It could be subject-specific, overall, academics, what they think works best for them. And then we have them actually go out and seek a character reference from a parent, a guardian, a grandparent, maybe even a teacher or a friend of this person, who they are, what they stand about, all that fun stuff. Again, I think our goal with these learner profiles is to eventually use more of the interests and interweave it into our instruction. Towards the end of the school year, we want to have some sort of a final project, either a capstone or a portfolio. So again, using this to help drive the framework of that will be key. We also hope that as this program continues, that these learner profiles are editable, so we can add pages. I know that one of the things at the high school is the portrait of a graduate. So adding a page like that, having them really focus on their future as they become juniors and seniors in this program. One specific example, though, that Mrs. York has implemented in physical science is her first unit was on the history of the universe and star and galaxy formation. So at her end of the unit, for her assessment, she had the students choose 3 options, right? So number 1 was they could have taken a normal test, right? There were 2 parts, so they could have just taken a combined test. Number 2, they could have done a project that she chose, right? So the teacher directed. Or number 3, students themselves could group up and choose a project of their own choosing that had to do with the topic. So again, that's sort of that learner-driven idea of giving them choice in how they're going to present what they know. Next, so the flexible learning environment. So again, we are in the G Lab. The G Lab is a nice big space. We have tables and chairs. The kids are free to move them about however they want to. Again, they can group themselves however they want to. We did have to limit the number of chairs because you can only fit so many chairs around a table right before you can't even work. So we did limit them. But again, in that G Lab, we also have a back room that we use as a small group testing room, and we also will sometimes pull small groups of students and do some instruction back there. We used to have a movable whiteboard that has been taken away from me. Hopefully we'll get one soon. But again, it was nice to kind of move this whiteboard and bring it back there to, again, be able to instruct in smaller group settings. Again, with this flexible idea, there's 40 kids in the classroom and there's 2 teachers. So it's really nice in a setting to make the group smaller, because I think that's really when key instruction happens, and I think that's when students are more comfortable sharing ideas. In a big setting, they get kind of embarrassed or shy, so that kind of thing. In addition, I think some of the kids, are wanting a little bit more friendly furniture. We went to different places and they had, beanbag chairs. There was one place that had a rocking chair room that they could go and read books and sit and think. So, it'd be nice to have some different stuff in that room too, but we'll get there. One of the things with flexible learning I appreciated was the idea of being able to group kids differently every day. So again, I'm doing, I'll talk about in a second with my geometry, doing, videos and self-pacing, that kind of thing. But if I have a kid from that side of the room and a kid from that side of the room in the same spot and there's an activity, I'll pair them together. I'll say, hey, you 2, come on this table, you're gonna work on this activity together. So again, they're from different spectrums of the classroom, but yet they're at the same place in their learning, so they can work together and collaborate. And again, it's a pairing that might not normally do that, but we're able to kind of put them together and get their different perspectives together. So there's a good flexibility in this room. Optimal path and pace. So again, I think this is really the highlight of my focus in geometry. I'm a big proponent of the flipped classroom. I really think that, being able to give kids the instruction in a way that allows them to learn it at their pace, and then again, being able to work freely through their material is important, especially in math, where I feel like the degree of learners is so wide in one math class. So again, what Mrs. York and I do at the beginning of each unit is we kind of put out a playlist or a guideline or outline on Google Classroom that kind of shows the kids what all they need to do to complete that unit. And again, we just provide them with the material and say, hey, go. And we're here, we can help you when you need to. Now, having said that, we do intervene and have many lessons throughout, so they are getting some live interaction. And again, the kids will come to us or we'll come to them. But again, the idea is that we are trying to meet them where they're at, right? Let them approach the material at their pace. And again, when we presented this to Mrs. Powers the first time, we did have 3 students who presented to the group. And one of the common themes I felt was the comfort level, right? You know, in a classroom, sometimes the teacher is forcing you to go somewhere that you're not ready to go to, right? And with this program here, we are saying, hey, you know, we're trusting you that you're working at your best ability, which is sometimes, you know, a trust that's not always there, but I'm trusting you. But again, I'm not pushing you too fast. And, you know, like in terms of testing, right? I've had 5 kids take a test one day, I've had 2 kids take a test the next day. It's not like all 40 are taking the test the same day. So again, they're able to kind of pick and choose how they want to go, and I'm able to meet them where they're at. I had an example. No, I think that's good, just the full classroom. Yeah, and again, being comfortable with the material. So again, able to let them go at their own pace. Now I will say that I think in the second quarter, some structure might have to be added because we have some kids going at you know, relatively, you know, paces, however I want to say that. But again, you know, they're high school students, they're learning. Oh, the weekly schedule building and goal setting. So one of the things we tried to do early on that didn't really take off, and we're going to reset this quarter, is really getting the kids to kind of sit down before they start the week and really try to map out what they want to do, right? Because I think some of these kids come to school and, you know, they're used to the teacher saying, here's what we're going to do today, versus saying, hey, I have to do this in the next 2 weeks. What do I want to do today? What do I want to do tomorrow? And again, it can be all math, it can be all science, it can be a little bit of each, right? But again, they're allowed to make those decisions for themselves, right? And again, I liken it to a to-do list, right? We all have to-do lists, right? We all have things we want to do, and when you don't get them done that day, how's that going to impact the next day and the next day? So again, a lot of these kids are getting life lessons too that I think are beneficial beyond the classroom. Authentic learning. So again, this is the idea of, you know, not making everything from a textbook, not making it read this page to this, but again, really trying to bring in outside sources or their interest into the learning. Again, I think that as we go through this year, we're going to really hone in on those learner profiles and try to bring those interests in to the activities that we present with our material. I know as an example, one thing that Mrs. York did, so she, her next big subject material is chemistry in physical science. So at the end of quarter 1, she would take a handful of students to her classroom and they were doing mini experiments. And they were just, it had to do with you know, some sort of chemical reaction. I'm the math guy, right? I'm the science guy. But like she was saying that, you know, she gave the kids the option of the typical Coca-Cola bottle of Mentos. I don't know if you ever dropped the Mentos in and the explodes, right? So the carbonation. But then she also has some students, they were making ice cream, right? And then they had other students looking at bath bombs, right? How they're composed. So again, she was able to let them kind of take what they thought was neat and interesting and bring it into the chemistry world. So then after that, she had to do what she called a claim, evidence, and reasoning summation, I don't know, some of the thing, where she was able to take what they did and try to apply it to real life. And again, just making those connections for the kids rather than everybody doing the same thing. And then last but not least, evidence of learning and feedback. Again, this also is near and dear to my math heart because again, I think that in a general setting, we're not able to give everybody the feedback they need to get them where they need to go. So in this setting, we're able to do a lot more one-on-one interaction with the kids. We're able to give a lot more feedback immediately. So for example, when my tests come, so I give the kids a review to work on. Once they're done with the review, I meet individually with each kid. And we talk about what went well, what didn't go well. We create a plan of, okay, you did the review, now you need to study this. Once they take the test, this is Mrs. Trini came with this idea. I actually, the last couple of days, I graded the test with the kids. I had them sit down next to me, I graded with them, and it's amazing that you see, they'll say, oh, I meant to put that, or I thought about doing that. So you really get into their brain and what they're thinking of, versus just having this piece of paper that they took 3 days ago, that it's like, now it's separate from them, right? So again, I think that you just get much more of a in-depth understanding and working towards that mastery. I think in a regular classroom, the kids don't always master things, right? Johnny and Sally might, but Jimmy and Daisy didn't. I don't know, Daisy. But you know, but again, in this, we're trying to help everybody master everything they do before they move on, so that they just learn the material better. So then the last thing I have here is our success criteria. So again, a couple questions we have is, number one, how do we know if we're successful as a PLP, right? So again, we tried to create like a criteria spreadsheet to kind of look at that, and we do meet often, at least a couple times every quarter. We did a lot on the PD days and stuff, just to kind of touch base, the Block 1 and Block 2 folks, along with Ms. Mariola. I also want to throw in Mr. Dianetti. He's the intervention specialist that's a part of this program as well. I'm going to give a shout out to him. But again, that's the thing is, our students are going to achieve, right? But again, how do we know that this program is working, and what can we do to make it better as we go in the future? And then number 2 is, how do we get this program to grow, right? We are 4 teachers. We did have a second group of teachers step up last year in each subject area. I think we lost 1 or 2 of them. So again, if we want this program to go, if we want this to be offered to juniors next year and sophomores next year, we need to have 2 sets. So again, it's how are we going to keep this program going? And again, show that the students, use the students as the publicity for how well this program is going and what they can really do in the future. Okay. Any questions for me? Yeah.
I know you said with this program that the kids, they work at their own pace and you all meet them where they're at. Is there any type of monitoring? I know you touched on it a little bit, just to make sure they are going at an appropriate pace so they do finish the curriculum?
Sure. Yeah, so I will say that from my perspective as a math teacher, so when I use what's called Edpuzzle for my videos, and I use Delta Math for the math problems. So I'm able to go look and monitor what they've done. And again, part of the difficulty as a teacher is because I'm where they're at, I have to update grades constantly, right? Because usually you grade 1 assignment, you put them all in, right? Well, I put 2 in for this one, 3 in for that one, you know what I mean? So I am constantly looking. And the one thing we talked about the students today, actually, because today was like our reset day, is how can we get them to communicate to us? Because a lot of times, us, the teachers, so again, we're in a room of 40 kids, we have to know where all 39 kids are at, 40 kids. But I need them to start coming to me and saying what they need me to do, right, where they're at. And that's part of the growing process, right? And that's what we're trying to get to, is how that communication be 2 ways instead of just 1 way. But that is how we do it, because, and I think Mrs. York does a lot of Google Classroom. So she just looks to see when things are turned in. And we do try to have check-in times, right? So again, come talk to me about this and that kind of thing.
Okay. And if you notice somebody is kind of falling behind pace, do you intervene and say, okay, might we start with a little bit faster?
Sure. So I mean, what we'll do is we'll move them aside. We'll give them some more one-on-one time to kind of get them caught up, or maybe pair them with someone who we think can help them. I know that Mr. Dianetti, as the intervention specialist, he actually has done a good job of that, because intervention specialists are trained in all areas. He actually kind of goes around and helps that, help those kids. But yes, like we do, today I made a list of students who are kind of in the same boat, right? And again, the kids don't know this, but part of our next quarter plan is to kind of have some days that are more structured seating days, where we kind of group them in those areas so that I know who I'm focusing on when I'm there. And again, trying to pair more kids who are at the same spot to help each other out. And again, we're just learning every day, right? And we ask the kids to trust us, we trust them, and again, we're just trying to do the best for them as we go through.
That brings me to another question. Can the students work together on things?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So from the math perspective, the assignments I give, they're the same problems with different numbers. So it's not like what Jimmy got, Sally just puts the same answer, but it's the process, right? So that's I want that to happen, right? I would like the collaboration, because even in my own classrooms, collaboration is key, right? I think that the more we can learn from each other, the better. Now, when it comes to assessments, sometimes they're individual, so you have to also take ownership of your own learning. But yeah, on the way there in the formative stages, yeah, that collaboration is key.
Thanks. All right, I have comment/question, I guess.
Yeah.
For some of us who have had our kids in the past maybe 4, 5, 6 years go through the high school,
sure.
We're a little bit familiar with that, the flipping classroom.
Yeah.
And I know you could do a whole seminar, probably a whole day PD on it.
Sure.
But there's elementary school parents and middle school parents who don't know what that is. So I guess you're 1 minute and under commercial on that.
Yeah, sure. No. So flipped classroom is essentially taking what you think the traditional way of teaching is the teacher lectures, then you go home and do the homework, which is the problems, right? And a lot of times that's a struggle, because when you go home away from the teacher and do the problems, that's when you need the most help, right? So instead, the videos are made by myself to then allow the kids to take notes. Now again, part of the naysayers are like, well, you're telling my kid he has to learn from a video. No, he doesn't have to learn from a video, right? He can come and ask questions, but the idea is you get you get in touch with the material coming in, right? So you have some prior knowledge. Prior knowledge is key because, again, when you get it the second time in class, that's when it really sticks. So then when they come to class, or in this PLP, they're doing the videos and the problems in class at the same time. But in a flipped classroom, when you come to class, then you have time to work on the problems, which I think is the most important part. And the teacher, the expert, not an expert, but the person that will help you, he's there to facilitate and help really help you solve the problems, which is the important part, right? The doing, right? All right. So that's one question. And again, just to put on that, when I teach lessons in class, not everybody writes at the same pace. So I may be done with the example, this person's still copying, but that person's done, and that. So again, when you watch the video, you can pause whenever you want to. So again, you're able to learn the material at your own pace, or at least copy the notes at your own pace.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to pass over to Mr. Sherman.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chappell. It's awesome to hear a passionate educator doing awesome things for kids. So the facilities goals this year, during this school year, the Twinsburg City School District will update the 5-year facility master plan with detailed budgets to ensure 80% of proposed strategic annual expenditures are allocated and expended as planned. I'm not going to spend much time on this because we did just do a board report on that. The only thing I'll add is this next goal around the Tiger Legacy project did afford us through the OFCC a brand new set of facility assessments. So that is very fresh data that will go right into that 5-year facility master plan, just so you know. During the 2024-2025 school year, Twinsburg City School District will complete the preparation phase of the Tiger Legacy project by initializing design plans, conducting engineering assessments, and determining pilot bus routes effectively merge the 3 elementary schools into a preschool through grade 6 elementary school building. The next several slides are just going to talk about how we've been diligent with this work. Community and staff engagement. We have been on an absolute roadshow in the community and in the buildings, talking to staff and students, any residents that want to talk about this. We have tried to make ourselves available. And again, I will say 100 times, please see the website because everything is on there. Soil borings, those results will be ready for us in the next week. We do have preliminary results that tell us that we don't have any concerns with the proposed construction site. Traffic study, that data is almost finalized as well, and we should have that in the upcoming weeks. And then bus routing, we talked about this several times, but we're working with our partner software company TransFinder on coming up with multiple bus route scenarios to tell us how many bus routes would adequately serve more of a campus here on Ravenna Road. We've included the 3D renderings here, and I'm not going to read verbatim, but if you're watching from home, I would encourage you to either watch this slideshow or, again, engage the website to understand what the proposed building is and what it is not, what it offers and what it doesn't, the efficiencies, the space. I hear Mr. Chappell talk so passionately about educating kids, and I think this is the space you do that in. This is the furniture. This is what educates the future. This is a rear shot of the proposed new building, shows more of the effect of the houses broken up by grade levels. This is a shot of the new stadium. I do want to add, when you look in there, proposed Tiger Stadium, why does everything say new? Isn't that obvious? I underscore that because our current stadium is in need of renovation of all of those components. My point is to renovate the current stadium would cost well over half of building a new stadium. So if you need to do all of that anyway, it might make sense to build a new one. And the proposed athletic fields at Dodge, again, new in front of all of that because none of those fields that are to relocate, where they currently sit, are all in need of the same renovations, and the same principle is true on that renovate versus replace. Well over half the money to renovate where they currently sit versus new on the current Dodge site. And at this time, I'm going to play a video that is a rendering from the architect that shows. Okay. All right. My last slide is just the facts on bond issue 33. Voters, everything that we just talked about with Tiger Legacy Project, it belongs to you. It's your building to decide on. And that will be before you on November 5th. There are the facts. The bond is at 107 million, 4.27 mils, talks about the cost, and then the breakdown there to the right. And again, I would encourage you, and just underscore, please visit our website to check out more information. There is a bond calculator that you can figure what it would cost at your address. Or by all means, feel free to reach out either to Superintendent Powers, myself, or the board, and we can steer you in the right direction for any additional information you might need about the Tiger Legacy Project. Any questions? All right. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ryan Bandiera for a safety update.
Thank you, Board, and good evening tonight. Questions and answers there. For safety this year, we're focusing on kind of a broad goal, but focusing on the implementation of our student PCD use and also the expansion of our metal detector technologies at school entrances as measured by student discipline referrals. We will be presenting more data specific a little bit later on this year, but I wanted to invite Mr. Holland up first, who's going to quickly address for you some of the things that are happening with safety at Dodge Intermediate School this year.
Good evening again, everyone. Just to talk a little bit about safety at Dodge. We just take safety at Dodge from a standpoint of it's everyone's responsibility. Students helping students, teachers helping teachers, teachers and students working together. And so we kind of focus on a lot of training, practice, retraining, more practice, debriefing. So at Dodge, what you'll kind of see a little bit is that we try to keep all of our students involved in the training as well. So at Dodge, for our ALICE training in particular, what we do is first we train our staff every year. So we go on above and beyond the state requirements. We train our staff every year. At that point, we pull our sixth grader who have the most experience, and they are trained, and they take the lead in the training of the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders for each school year. So they will actually come down, put on skits, model what's happening during the ALICE training, and then once each grade level has been trained, then we go into our drills. We do 4 drills a year, 1 drill for hold in place, 1 drill for the evacuate, and we also teach our kids how to counter if that becomes necessary. And then following each one of those drills, we debrief back with our administrative team, or our PAWS team, which is our PAWS React team, as well as with our staff. And our officer, SRO, actually meets with each staff member and we process through how each of the drills went and what we can do better as a staff and as a school community. So again, I'm really proud of this picture because Officer Ron's worked with our 6th graders to make sure that all of our kids are trained to Dodge, and they do a fantastic job. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to you.
And just kind of finalizing things here, we have, through our safety and security grant funding, we've been able to purchase the OpenGate metal detectors, and our administrative staff and our security liaison staff have been trained in this. And in the very near future here, we're going to be going through that search here. I feel like such a nerd because I was telling my wife I was at the Cleveland Guardians game this past Friday, and I'm like looking, I'm like, they use OpenGate machines, and I was like, she's like, stop that. I'm like, but that's, it's interesting technology, and it's interesting to see how this technology is being used at a wide sporting event, but can also be used within our school district here as well. So I just wanted to share that information. We're excited to start that process, and hopefully in the near future here we'll be having our first official full student body search here at Twinsburg High School. And that's a quick update for safety and security, and that is our strategic plan for this evening. If there's any questions from the board, we'd be happy to take it.
Thanks for doing such a great job. Would you like some more? I appreciate it. Sure.
You good, Mrs. Powers?
That concludes our report, Mrs. Travis, thank you.
Okay, and we do have a blue card, so, remonstrance, persons wishing to address the Board of Education should submit a blue card found out, not in the lobby, but out there, somewhere in that space, to take to the treasurer prior to the meeting so that they may be recognized by the board president and welcomed to make comment. No formal action will be taken on subjects that are not included on this agenda until the board has had an opportunity to study them. Comments regarding personnel must be submitted in writing through the office of the superintendent. Although there is normally adequate time for citizens to express themselves at a board meeting, if several people wish to speak, each person will be allotted 5 minutes until the total time lot of 30 minutes is issued. Each person addressing the board is asked to give his or her name and address. So, Mr. Curtis, would you want to come on up and?
Guess I'll stand over there where everybody else.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, camera.
Or you can go on camera.
You're in the middle.
Am I?
There you go. There you go.
Oh, you got me?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
I'll be official. So yeah, Mark Curtis, 10472 Woodchuck Court, and I wanted to take an opportunity to come up and address the board and also the community. Just one last opportunity in support of issue 33, the Tiger Legacy Project. Prior to seeing that video, I had a whole thing that I was gonna roll out and say, but let me first and foremost say that how proud I am of you as a board and as an administration and staff of all of the work that you have put into educating the community, the meetings, many meetings that you've had. I have come to learn that you have even had meetings just within houses and communities and so forth, going so far above and beyond to make sure that, for one, constituents understand and know what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it, and more importantly, to ask and answer questions, critical, so that people understand, and when they walk away, they have a much better understanding of what it is that you're doing, why you're doing it, the cost associated with it, and how you arrived at those costs, so that people truly do understand what they're voting for, and what their money is going to be going to. There's a lot of information still that is out there that is misinformation, and unfortunately, Facebook is not the most reliable source of information. I've said that many times before, and I'll say that again. I've taken the initiative to educate myself, but I gotta say that video is probably one of the most comprehensive answers to a lot of questions without people getting up and talking. It really does show from what it was to what it's going to be. I had an opportunity, I visited the website just to make sure that I wasn't missing anything, if there was any updated information, but there's a wealth of information that's available to voters. If you are still on the fence, if you still don't understand, or you don't know, there's information there, but I encourage you and urge you to reach out directly to the board, reach out to the superintendent's office. You can talk to folks at the buildings. Everyone is well versed in what this is and the necessity behind it. But I'll say, from someone who has been on this from the beginning and has seen the evolution from what it was to where it is now, and I'm thoroughly impressed. And again, obviously, I'm 100% behind this effort, but I wanted to lend my voice to strongly encourage our residents, and even if you don't have kids in the district, or you had kids in the district, if you had kids in the district, you truly do, or you should understand the difference. And more importantly, this is a major shift toward where we need to be from an educational standpoint. This is truly 21st century learning environment. I think the rendering does a very good job of showing that even though it's one building technically, the entrances and the different grade spans, you truly do have separation between the grade levels. So this is not a bunch of kids getting thrown in and they're going to be coming across. That is not that. If anything, take a look at this video that they just showed, because it is very clear what this concept is, what it's supposed to be, and the longevity that we will experience with this new building and this new operation. I know Matt took some time to go over the PI funds, and this will do wonders in the way of alleviating that, so that there's greater flexibility to use these funds in a lot of different capacities. It also takes pressure off of our general fund as well. And believe me, this is an investment in the future. This will take us for many years beyond. So if you got little kids, they'll have an opportunity to really matriculate through a great learning environment. And it's not only great for our little ones and our students, it's great for our staff. Because we can't forget that all of the folks that are responsible for providing education to our staff, and not only just teachers, but secretaries, aides, and so forth and so on, they're going to be able to function a lot better in these spaces as adults. So, this is the last opportunity to engage, and I wanted to make sure I took the opportunity to come up here and really encourage our residents and parents to take a hard look at all of the information and data that's out there, so when you go into the voting booth, you really are casting a vote for the future of this district. Because if we don't do this now, you really have to strongly consider what is the alternative. And the alternative is what we have, and in my opinion, from a financial standpoint, it's unsustainable. We are spending more money in maintenance than we ever will with new buildings. So I appreciate the time that you've given me to come and address you, but I really want to urge our residents to support this. This district has done a lot in the way of making sure that we're spending our dollars appropriately, making sure that we're leveraging any and all opportunities to provide relief and offset what we spend in the general fund. Everything is available for you to see, very transparent. I know the treasurer has made some strides in making sure that all that information is readily available for you to see in the 5-year forecast. We give regular updates, so forth and so on. So let's do the right thing. Let's push us across the finish line so we can all be happy. Kids can be happy, and we can get moving forward with this with a new facility. So that being said, I just wanted to make sure I let folks know to vote yes on issue 33.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along without objection, item H. Number 1, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the certificated licensed personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified, pending satisfactory ORC background checks. 2, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the classified personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified, pending satisfactory ORC background checks. 3, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the supplemental contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibits as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified, pending satisfactory ORC background checks. And number 4, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the pupil activity contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. May I have a motion for items H 1 through 4, please?
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Crawford.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Hamilton. Any discussion?
Just, may I, please, I would like to take a moment. I have invited Mr. Scott Bushy tonight, so I would like to ask him to come up and just introduce him quickly. He is here for, on the agenda for the accounting position. I would just like to introduce him just a little bit. He has extensive experience in financial reporting with public institutions such as school districts and municipalities. Furthermore, he has great technical skills which we welcome in our office and knows our accounting and inventory systems. He is also familiar with our district-specific financials as he has been working with our district over the last 20 years, helping with financial reporting, the treasurer's office. So, would you like to say anything, Mr. Bushy?
Excited to be on board.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, welcome.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
All right, Mrs. Rosanna, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Crawford? Yes. Mrs. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Egan?
Yes.
Mrs. Travis?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Action items, new business. Number 1, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the donation of miscellaneous art supplies to George G. Dodge Intermediate School from Mr. Barry Smith. The items valued at $3,425 as per the attached exhibit. 2, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the donation of $1,900 to the Twinsburg High School Pep Club for the sale of various homecoming apparel items per the attached exhibit. 3, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts a donation of $189.37 from Ohio Pile Prints Incorporated from the sale of various spirit wear items sold at local retailers per attached exhibit. 4, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts a donation of the book Hair Like Obama's, Hands Like LeBron's to Wilcox Primary School Library. The book is valued at $18.99 as per the attached exhibit. 5, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the attached listing of media items to be deleted from inventory, again as per the attached exhibit. 6, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approve the service agreement with Education Alternatives in Cleveland for one student to attend the day treatment program for a 90-day placement and one student to attend the day treatment program for the remainder of the 24-25 school year, and for one student to attend the Pearl Autism program for the remainder of the 24-25 school year, as sent to the board under separate cover. Tuition cost for these 3 students is $59,206, which includes a credit due to students no longer attending the program. And this is a general fund expenditure. 7, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following police officers to provide security at scheduled hockey games for the 24-25 school year as needed at a rate of $45 per hour. And they are listed there. 8, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the memorandum of understanding with the Twinsburg Support Staff Association regarding the position of a long-term substitute instructional assistant at Wilcox Primary School, as sent to the board under separate cover. 9, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education, in accordance with ORC 3313.90, hereby specifies the district's intent not to provide career technical education for all 7th and 8th graders enrolled in the Twinsburg City School District. However, the Twinsburg City School District will provide career technical programming for interested 8th grade students via Project Lead the Way course offerings at RBC Chamberlain Middle School. 10, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the reimbursement of $30,000 through the Cuyahoga Valley Career Centers Fund for a CTE partnership for fiscal year 25. These funds will be used to purchase career and technical education foundational course materials for R.B. Chamberlain Middle School and for Twinsburg High School. The funds will also be used to support STEM career-focused activities and initiatives in the Twinsburg City School District. 11, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the revised job description for accountant as per the attached exhibit. 12, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the proposed student fee of $30 for the recently added robotics club at Twinsburg High School. 13, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the affiliation agreement with the University of Cincinnati College of Applied Health Sciences for the placement of students in their occupational therapy program in Twinsburg City School District to provide field learning experiences as sent to the board under separate cover. 14, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education determines the impracticality of transportation for the schools listed below for the 24-25 school year per the Ohio Department of Education in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code Section 3327.01. And the list of students is kept on file in the Transportation Office. The amounts of payment will be $583.86 per student. These students are in addition to the students that were already approved on July 17th of 24, August 21 of 24, and October 9 of 24 Board of Education meetings. And 15, resolve that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the agreement with In Full Bloom Consulting LLC in Walton Hills to provide staff and student investigations, appeal hearings, special projects, and the facilitation of the Twinsburg City School District Equity Steering Committee for the 24-25 school year. The total consulting hours will not exceed 300 hours at the hourly rate of $125. This is a general fund expenditure as sent to the board under separate cover. May I have a motion for items 1 through 15, please? So moved by Mrs. Davis.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Egan. Any discussion, ladies?
Just want to thank everyone for all the donations.
Yes, thank you. It was very nice of Mr. Holland to have the art family come too tonight.
Yes.
That was very special.
Very
That was
special.
very nice.
They're so excited to be here and just share that.
Very appreciative. We appreciate that.
Okay, Mrs. Rosnaya, roll please.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Egan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamilton? Yes. Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mrs. Travis?
Yes, and that motion carries 5-0. Okay, miscellaneous, ladies?
I just wanted to say, shout out to the orchestra last night. They did an amazing job. They were at E.J. Thomas Hall last week performing, and last night they had Chagrin Falls School come and do a couple of numbers on their own, and then they did a big number together because they're both going to New York City, and so it was so cool because they both played together, New York, New York. You know, like the Frank Sinatra one. Man, it was just amazing. So great job for that. Football season is wrapping up this Friday, so congratulations to the team, the coaches, and the staff for putting on a great season and all the hard work and dedication that the kids have done, the cheerleaders have done. So I just wanted to say thanks and good luck to all the sports that we have on Saturday. So thanks.
Yeah, and just to reiterate what the two of you said, there's so much going on this week with the sports and postseason games and playoffs, and it's just a really, really exciting time for our kids. And of course, I'll be following soccer, having a player on the team, but I wish I could be in so many of these different places at once, so I'll be kind of keeping up through, other parents giving me notification, but yeah, if you can attend any of the events, you won't be disappointed. Our kids are doing a really good job this fall in both the arts and in sports, and just good time for our students.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, thanks to all of our parents for continuing to support our students. Last week, Great Expectations had their show event, and that was a wonderful kickoff to their program. We are just so proud of all of our students and everything that they continue to do. Just heard that fortunately the volleyball team didn't win, but we wish them, we thank them for a successful season, and we just want everyone to stay encouraged and support whoever you can, because all of our students are working very hard, and we're so proud of them. Also wanted to note that any seniors who are going into education, looking to work with students, we do have an opportunity for you to apply for a scholarship through Ohio School Board Association, with us being a member of that. The application for our region is due by January 15th. I will share information on the high school Facebook page, so if you're interested, please go to the Facebook page. I'll have it posted by tomorrow. Thank you.
And next week is trick or treat and Halloween, and we sort of wanted to kick it off for everyone, but just a reminder, you know, be safe, enjoy the time, but you know, we want to make sure that all of our little ones are safe in their event and their excitement with candy and getting all sugared up for the evening and the event. So there is tonight no need for an executive session, so we will be closing our meeting at this point. May I have a
so moved.
Okay, thank you. There we go. So moved. First by Mrs. Crawford and second by Mrs. Davis and Mrs. Rosnaya. Roll, please.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Egan?
Yes.
Mrs. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. Travis?
Yes, and that's 5-0. And so for those still with us, thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you for your
Have a good,
patience.
yes, thank you for everything, and have a good evening and a good weekend. Thank you.